Hey, everybody. Welcome back to that weird time in between Christmas and New Year's and going back to work and starting a whole new boring January where time doesn't seem to exist. We are Hopsgeeknews. I am Matt. With me, as always, is Lauren. Welcome back. If this is your first time, thanks for hanging out with us. And if you're a long-time listener coming back again, hey, thanks for continuing to stick with us. We are going to talk about, on episode 250 today, our top 5 of 2024. So we're going to go over movies, TV shows, and comic books. So we're going to give you our top 5 for each of those categories. That will come a little later. We always talk about what we have been reading or watching, and then some news first. And so, of course, if you want to skip ahead, do so. But like I said, episode 250, got a lot of good stuff today. Typically, we feature a beer of the week. It is 11 o'clock on a Friday morning. And, well, I'm still drinking a beer because there are no laws, right? You know what? We like to shout out local businesses and things. So I'm drinking before, during, and after Christmas from Evil Twin Brewing out of New York City. It's an 8% double IPA. I figured it fit because it's December 27th when we're recording this. Time doesn't exist. Nothing matters. We are all lost in that weirdness. And so let's get weird with it. And, Lauren, I know you're not drinking, but I know you're eating some food over there. But what's up? How was your holiday? We are on night 3 of Hanukkah. We are on day 2 after Christmas. You probably got some coffee over there. Did you get any good gifts for Christmas?
I did get some good gifts. I think my favorite gift I already posted on our socials is I got season 1 of Supernatural. And if people are like, okay, well, you've seen it a million times, it's on Netflix, why would you do that? It's because season 1 has different music, because I know I've explained this before. If you heard it before, I apologize. Just skip ahead. Is because season 1 came out in 2005 and streaming was just starting once they got it on Netflix.
You're getting
They
Netflix
didn't have the
DVDs still.
streaming rights. Yeah, they didn't have the rights for the music to stream. So they had to go and change it. And I had been seeing clips on TikTok and stuff of the actual music. Like when he's getting chased by the Reaper, they're playing Don't Fear the Reaper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then there's another scene where Dean's just mouthing music in the car and kind of annoying Sam. And in the show, what I'm used to in Netflix, his lips don't add up to the music. He's just making noises and random drum sounds. Well, apparently in the actual original season, he's singing along to the actual song, and they had to edit it to make it look like it was just random. So I haven't started yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. I'm very excited.
That's kind of weird how that happens. How do you get, you don't have the rights to the music, but you have the show? It's all strange. I'll never understand that.
Streaming rights wasn't a thing. It's every time we have a new technology, there's a whole world of laws that have to be created. And then, then something will go to court and it's got to be interpreted properly and applied with laws that don't actually have taken that into consideration. And this is why I think the Constitution is a living document, because our founders and the originators of said Constitution had no clue that Supernatural was going to have 2 different soundtracks.
How could George Washington not have foreseen this while they were making the Constitution in the bar? What are we doing, man?
Hell, he was probably a hunter himself. He should have seen this coming.
He used dead people's teeth. He should have known we were going to have better things. I don't know. Yeah, that is weird. But Christmas was good, though. You guys had a bunch of the family over and everything. You got a nice mug there, a little Deadpool Wolverine mug.
Yeah, super fun. Yeah, we had a good Halloween. We had a good Halloween.
Happy Halloween! Yeah, I got a really cool shirt that Carrie had custom made. It has various pictures of our cat on it, which is my favorite thing ever. I just am obsessed with our cat. And then I got an espresso maker coffee machine, and I guess I'm in that middle-aged dad part where I'm just experimenting with coffees now because I've got 50 espresso pods next to it. And I'm doing all sorts of weird things. So here I am. That's me.
Out of its chest.
Next thing is a smoker, I guess. So I got to get one of those. But kids were pumped. Good. Oliver is obsessed with his Infinity Gauntlet Iron Man hand. I've been wearing it all around. So who really got the winning toy out of it? I don't know. But
he had that on his hand the whole time when he was here. So I was like, oh, that's a great gift for him. I'm sure he loved it. I know.
It was on sale, so I had to get the Legends, man. He's got the Legends Black Panther helmet, now the Legends Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet. They have a trampoline coming that they don't know about yet, and it's going to be 60 degrees next week. So they're going to probably be able to use it, which is kind of nice because Virginia weather is weird. And so get outside. Let me enjoy my week off, all that good stuff. But let's go into what we've been reading or watching. I've got a few things. So Absolute Wonder Woman 3 from DC Comics. The All-In DC series is off and running. This is Kelly Thompson, Hayden Sherman, Jordi Belair, and Becca Carey. This is really cool because Diana, she's kind of up from hell, which is a new take on it for me personally anyways. But she's got the kindness. However, she's using magic. Like she's wielding magic, using magic. There's a sequence where she loses her arm and she's able to reuse magic. She uses magic to get Steve out of hell to back to his place on Earth. And it's a really cool take on it. There's really beautiful colors. The reds are very, very vibrant. Her lasso glows red even. And she's got a lot of cool weapons like an axe and a really cool sword. And she's fighting a creature in this one called the Tetracide. And so this is a really good series. I think people really should be picking this up if they haven't already. And then the only other one that I've really reviewed for nerdinitiative.com, which we do every week, is Redcoat issue 8. You know me. This is going to appear later on in the show. This is Brian Hitch, Jeff Johns, Brad Anderson, Andrew Curry, Rob Lay. I love this. And Simon is like a coward throughout the first 7 issues. Issue 7 ends on like a really sad note. If you haven't read it, I don't really want to spoil that note.
So we're about to, I haven't read this issue, so we're about to get a new Simon.
Well, Simon shows a very vicious side of him and kind of a surprising, it's all justified. He doesn't do anything unjustified in this. It's essentially he gets trapped with a family of murderers. We'll leave it at that. And so, yeah, this is really good. Simon is brutal. It's a very bloody issue. It's a very good issue. And again, like Simon's known to be a coward that runs away, but like in this issue, man, I don't know where this Simon's been at, because if this is the Simon that like would have stood up to George Washington or Benedict Arnold or whatever it is, like he would have been a badass even more. And also, just like some of the other issues, like what was it, the Rockefellers from issue 2 that we discussed last week, there are some tie-ins going on. There's a cliffhanger at the end of this issue that ties in with like Geiger and all of them in a really interesting way. So there's some big things coming up. But that's what I've been...
that at New York Comic Con. So I didn't realize it was going to be happening so soon. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more crossovers. So that's fun.
I think 2025 is going to be big for crossing over their issues for sure. And of course I've done Hallmark, man. Don't worry. I've got a top 5 Hallmark listing from 2024 for you on this. So I'll save that for later.
Well then, okay. When you get to there, I'll just mute myself to finish my bagel.
Don't worry. I'm not talking any Hallmark yet. I will talk them later. I did watch some good ones. There were some good ones this year. But Christmas movies is what we've been watching. Skeleton Crew, I'm very caught up. I will say that episode 4 was like my favorite of the first 4 episodes so far. And it's very Indiana Jones in episode 4. I thought it was really cool. They're on this vacation planet. Vacation planets in Star Wars are never a true vacation. And Jude Law, man, dang, like was not expecting kind of the sequence of events. I'll leave it at that without spoiling too much yet. That took place in episode 4 of Skeleton Crew. And then the kids are knocking out of the park. And there's even a really cool lightsaber moment in this episode. So watch that. This is probably behind Andor. It's probably the second best Star Wars television show that Disney has actually put out. I will die on that hill right now.
I'm loving it. I didn't watch this week's yet, but like when putting together the list, I wanted to put it on there, but it's not complete.
I didn't either because it's not finished. Yeah, that's the same. Yeah. I ran into the same thing.
So maybe next year, a year from now, we'll be talking Skeleton Crew because you got to stick the landing, I think, to earn it on the top.
You do. And we'll be doing, a season wrap up and things like that of Skeleton Crew. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And the final thing that I watched was Sonic 3, man. I went to the theater, and these movies, absolutely no business being as good as they are. I went and saw Sonic 3. Wow. Jim Carrey is very 90s Jim Carrey. Very 90s Jim Carrey in it. James Marsden acts better than anybody against CGI characters. Idris Elba is having fun as Knuckles. You can clearly tell he's having fun. Keanu Reeves' voice was a little off for me at first with Shadow. I felt like it wasn't really working. I don't know. It's just Keanu Reeves doing his John Wick Keanu Reeves voice, but it was weird. But overall, man, like it's good.
Yeah. So did Jim Carrey talk with his butt and sing?
No. However, he does play 2 characters in the movie, and it's just goofy Jim Carrey, just like character acting. I don't really know. He just is very over the top, which I can see people not liking his character in this one, because if you're not used to like growing up with Jim Carrey, then you're like, probably don't understand like what is he doing. But those of us who did and got Ace Ventura, for example. He's very over the top in this movie. He's very over the top in his early comedies. And I really missed just Jim Carrey as a comedic actor was like top of the game, 1 out of 1. And so to kind of have some of that back for these Sonic movies is really good. And it's a really good movie that just might make a list later on. So that's what I have been doing.
I saw some interviews with James Marsden about Sonic, and like X-Men kept coming up. And they were like, "Oh, how would?" And it was funny the answers he was.
Why aren't they bringing him back as Cyclops? If anybody deserves another go around,
anything's possible now. And I think the interview even asked. I think he's like, "Oh, nope, you can't ask me those questions." And but he said something. They're like, "Oh, what was a line from the movie or something?" And he's like, "Stay away from my girl." And they're like, "That's another X-Men line." So
he's having a lot of fun in this movie, man. That's what I've been up to.
I love James Marsden. We need more. I feel like he's underrated. I know he's in a lot of stuff, but I do feel like he's underrated.
He's underrated, but like, okay, so yeah, he was Cyclops, and then after that, he just kind of like he did he did some
rom-coms. He did Enchanted.
That's what it was, Enchanted.
Bunny.
Yes, and then he
Enchanted.
He was in, he was the Easter Bunny, and then like these Sonic movies, he acts so well against. He just somehow got put against CGI characters, and he does it extraordinarily well. And so there's another Sonic movie coming out in 2 years. We're getting another Sonic movie in 2 years, and we can't seem to get the third Spider-Verse movie in like
that's coming
ever
out this year. Is it?
No, it's not.
But James
they already said that.
What?
Spider-Verse? No, they said it's not coming out in 2025. No, it's not coming out in 2025. We're not getting a Spider-Verse until at least 2026.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll have to let Logan know.
Anyways, spoilers.
All right. So my comic this week, I only did one because of the holiday, was Hornsby and Halo. This is the second issue. It's from Ghost Machine and Image Comics. And this is by Peter J. Tomasi and Peter Schneinberg. Lettering Rob Lee, coloring John Cleese. This was fantastic. It was obviously incredibly fantastic. It just continues on this, because you read the first one, right?
I read the first one. I have not read the second one yet.
All right. So it's just continuing that social experiment of like the demon child being raised by good people, the good child being raised by, or the angel child being raised by evil people, and how they're handling that and how they're dealing, and they're kind of coming into their own. Mm-hmm. But in issue 2, there were some outside factors are starting to contribute to the story, because not everybody is on board with the social experiment. So other people are like, nope, this is bullshit. You're a demon. You need to be a demon. And so that's where they're going now. But yeah, anything from Ghost Machine, I mean, it's all been amazing. So that is all I have read this week. And then I watched.
Well, it was a busy week, man. It's hard. Yeah. Like New Comic Book Day was on a Thursday. There was a lot. It's hard. They put out a lot of good comics too for Christmas week, and it's like, dudes, it's hard enough, man. Like I don't know. It's whatever.
Yeah, I was reading my Krampus book, but I'm nowhere near finished that because I have not had time to read that all month. So I read some of that yesterday.
How could you?
Which that's interesting, but I don't want to comment on it until it's over. And honestly, Christmas, like nobody's going to want to read a Krampus book in January. Or maybe you will. Maybe the magic of Christmas lives in your heart all year. I watched the Doctor Who special. Did you watch that yet?
I haven't. We talked about watching it, but we didn't for some reason. I think I was just toast. I didn't really even drink on Christmas Day. It was more of, oh my God, I overate. I ate a lot of junk food. I feel terrible. My stomach hurts. I'm going to pass out on the couch. So I did not. And then also our kids tried to wake us up at 3:30 in the morning to do presents. And I was like, no. So we managed to hold them off until 6:30, right? So we were up and calling everybody, having to do our crap. Harper comes in. She goes, Santa came. Can we go open presents? And I was like, oh, it's got to be like 7 in the morning, right? I looked at my watch. It was 3:30. I was like, get your ass back to bed. You must have lost your
Santa's
mind.
Still on the roof. Like, go to sleep.
Santa's not done delivering gifts yet. All right. Goodbye. So yeah, no, they're kids. I get it. But I wasn't ready for that. No. So I was asleep. Yeah. I didn't watch it yet.
Well, once everybody went to bed, I actually watched it by myself because Kaylee doesn't live here anymore and doesn't watch them. I'm curious to hear other people's opinions because I didn't love it. I felt like, sometimes Doctor Who, the explanations are like, okay, well, that's obviously impossible, but that's still fun and that still makes sense. This, I don't know. I didn't love it. I felt like something was missing, and I don't know if it's just me or if it's other people because I really haven't heard from anybody else as far as their opinions.
I actually haven't either. That's why I'm surprised. It just kind of came out, and I've only ever really heard your opinion? Honestly.
I mean, obviously the doctor does a fantastic job. He's still great. He's mourning the loss of, like Ruby. So we're dealing with a little bit of that. But I guess I never truly loved Ruby as a companion. I thought she was great in it, but she was just too fucking young, no life experience. And now he's like mourning over Ruby. Oh, I miss Ruby. It's like, well, she wasn't around that long. And like,
Bro,
it's
she was
time,
literally in there for 3 episodes.
well, I mean, no, she was.
Well, it was more than that. I was being facetious.
Well, you said literally. Your generation's ruining literally. I have to always tell my kids,
yeah,
that's not literally. Okay,
it's literally not
it was in like
accurate.
3 episodes. But I really do love this doctor. I'm hoping whoever joins next is good. But like, I feel like there should be other people you're mourning on Christmas, like maybe Amelia. I don't know, Amy Pond.
Oh, Amelia
Get in
Pond.
here. It's
I wonder if she would come back.
That'd be amazing, but I feel like they wrapped up her story. I don't see her coming back.
Of course, yeah. Well, I mean, we thought
and he'd have to go to the past
doctor's story, but yeah, okay. Well,
That's
we still
true.
have 8 versions of David.
I feel like they wrapped her up with like a bow with the goodbye letter and everything. I felt like it was such a sweet goodbye, whereas Donna was a bittersweet. I mean, they're all bittersweet.
Yeah.
But like Donna was like well, that's not fair to her. Whereas Amelia and Rory, I felt like got their happy ending. So
true.
Don't mess with a happy ending.
That's true.
So that's
so much for my happy ending.
I did watch some Creature Commandos, but I think I'm behind on that.
I'm
liking
2
Creature
episodes
Commandos
behind.
more. So
okay.
like the last one I watched was the Weasel one. So each episode they're doing like a background on how these characters got arrested, why they're in prison. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Mermaid Girl one because she seems like she's done nothing wrong and she's completely innocent. But the Weasel one was very interesting because we've been hearing since Suicide Squad that he killed 27 children. Well, this explains what actually happened.
Oh, shit. Do they? Oh, man. Okay. I have watched the first episode and a half. Is it okay if I say it hasn't held my attention? That's why I haven't watched more. But there's also been Christmas time. So like, to be fair, I've done nothing but watch Christmas stuff. So I'll catch up.
Yeah.
But like at the moment, I sat down, I've tried to watch it. And then episode 2, I was just like, I found myself playing on my phone too much. I was just like distracted everywhere but what was going on. So it wasn't holding my attention. Not that it's bad. I just need to be in the right moment for certain things. And I think Creature Commandos is one of those things.
Yeah, it definitely got better. I felt like it was like, oh, okay, this is good, but I'm not fully engaged. Like the artwork's great. These characters are great. It's targeting grown-ups, but I felt like something was missing a little. And now that I'm going into more of the backstory of the characters, the Weasel one I think was my favorite. But yeah.
Well, that's what I keep hearing. So hopefully, all right, I will catch up and I will give thoughts, and we'll have thoughts about Creature Commandos once that kind of all wraps up too. We'll do episodes and all of this stuff just to discuss.
I still just want to sing Creature Report. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Let's go into some news now where Andy Muschietti says that the Batman Brave and the Bold movie has been delayed for a bit. He adds that he may be making another film before it. That was one of the films that was announced when James Gunn's DC was announced. And for some reason, yes, that is, it's been delayed, but we are getting a Clayface film with Alan Tudyk as Clayface. And basically James Gunn says we aren't greenlighting films until there's a finished script, because they've also talked about how The Flash is going to be delayed. There's no finished script for The Flash. And so we're waiting on that one too, which I'm fine with. Like, finish a script, bring it to the table and go from there. I'm totally good with that. We're getting Superman. And, if we've got to delay some things to make it good, I would rather that than, DC continuing to be the butt of jokes, because you know how important DC is to my heart and soul.
So what's up with Squid Games? So I thought Squid Games is continuing.
It is. Well, season 2 just dropped on the 26th. I have not watched it yet. So we got season 2 of Squid Games. I did. Yeah, no, season 1 was good. I don't think it ever needed a season 2, but Netflix wants its money. And so, Netflix is going to get what it wants to get, I guess.
I watched the first episode and that was it. I only watched the live action one because my friend was not the live action one. I only watched the reality show one because my friend was in it. So yeah, I guess season 3 is releasing in fall of 2025, and that will be the last one. Interesting. Good. Well, then if they already have a season lined up, they must have a story. I mean, I feel like it would be the same story every year, just some poor schmuck that needs to pay their bill.
Well, no, like the guy from the first season's back. I just don't know anything beyond that. Like, he's back in it. The guy who's also from The Acolyte, whose name I'm definitely not putting respect on right now because I forgot off the top of my head.
Well, that's his name in that.
Well, he's back because it ended with him like getting out. He won. He got out and all sorts of stuff. And I guess he's going back to the Squid. I don't know. We're going back to the Squid Games. I don't know, man. I really don't know. Now, Robert Eggers, excuse me, will reportedly be directing a new Labyrinth movie. If you remember Labyrinth, it's, Jennifer Connelly, David Bowie was the original, and Robert Eggers just did Nosferatu, which I have not seen yet, but I really want to see. I think I'm going to see it this weekend. And he's really good at horror. And so I'm really interested to see how he would do a Labyrinth movie. Is it something that you would ever love to see getting remade?
I haven't watched the original in so long, so I feel like I would need to rewatch the original to see how it held up. Because
we should do an episode of that.
We should. And I don't think that needs to be Halloween-y.
No, that could be in any time. I watched it in English class in April once back in high school a long time ago.
Oh, that's random. But yeah, no, that would be fun to revisit because for me, it's like if it didn't hold up well, or if there were scenes that could be done better with newer technology, then sure, a remake can be a lot of fun. But it's like it's like Jurassic Park. You're not remaking Jurassic Park. You just keep doing sequels because Jurassic Park doesn't need to be fucking touched ever.
Well, like Back to the Future is one that we'll never see a remake because they're basically it's going to die. The state has made it to where they can't touch it ever, which I'm fine with that. Back to the Future.
Yeah,
you don't need to remake that at all.
No, it would be cool to see like a DeLorean.
The new technology. I agree. Some part of me.
Yeah. But the 80s perception of 2015 is like, you can't top that. It's just too good.
No.
Too bad, but too good. We were literally having the conversation yesterday talking about AI and like lawyers and of course the arguments. I was like, there was no lawyers in 20. Well, they say lawyers are one of the professions that you cannot replicate with AI because it's so interpretive and so like it is having the jury pick and everything. So like lawyers and prostitution are two of the oldest careers. They were in the Bible and they are probably two careers that will stick around. But obviously that was funny.
Isn't that crazy? One of those is not like the other. Lawyers and prostitution.
Well, are they? Because, both people get paid to fuck people.
True. I'm interested to see, man, speaking of lawyers, free my boy Luigi, but that's neither here nor there.
All right, so what else do we have? Christopher Nolan will be doing a film retelling Homer's The Odyssey. That should be good. I feel like
it's got like Tom Holland, Zendaya's in it. It's got Matt Damon, I think. So it's a stacked cast. I forget everybody. It's going to be a wicked stacked cast. I am on board. Did you ever read The Odyssey? Like actually read it or?
No, I don't think so. No. I know Kaylee has it. I don't know if she ever got through it through them. I feel like I remember probably reading like the Cliff Notes version or the shortened version when I was younger, but not the full thing. But I think that's good.
Well, I was going to say, sorry. The Odyssey takes place after the fall of Troy. Like they all leave and it's their journey back home, if I'm not mistaken, is what the Odyssey is about. And so
sounds right.
It's absolutely crazy.
It's good getting a younger generation, I think, aware of some of these books.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like there's books that I read in school or at least learned about that my kids aren't. So
I was right. So I am so sorry. I'm cutting you off left and right.
No, you're good.
My bad. It's the Greek hero Odysseus, king of Ithaca, in his journey home after the Trojan War. So the Trojan War lasted 10 years, and it's his journey from Troy to Ithaca via Africa and Southern Europe. It lasted 10 years. He encountered many perils. Crewmates died. They Cyclops, all of that. But the Trojan War was fought because, they stole a girl. Another war that was fought allegedly, right? Trojan War, all that. Everybody should know what the Trojan horse is and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, okay. So that's what I thought it was. So I'm on board because Christopher Nolan's a freaking crazy director, and Tom Holland, Zendaya, Matt Damon, all of them on board too. Like, yeah, no, I'm sold.
Yeah, no, bringing that kind of stuff to modern times and igniting a new generation into things that like there's something like everybody should read the Death of a Salesman. Everybody should, read Hamlet. Like you should have like a base understanding of some, old culture and history, whether it's mythology, fictional, nonfiction. Like we should learn things. It's good to learn things. So books are good, guys. Even banned books are
Read a freaking book. It's the most common name in the world. Read a fucking book.
Let's curb your enthusiasm.
I was thinking about
colonoscopy.
McLovin.
Read a book.
Muhammad? Muhammad's the most common name in the world. Read a fucking book.
So Doug has been removed from Paramount Plus. Is this
Yes, this is Doug, Patty Mayonnaise,
Why?
Skeeter.
Why would not that I've
Because
watched in years,
all of
but
these
why?
streamings, I mean, I haven't watched it recently, but it's a staple of my childhood, man. All these streaming sites, they're getting rid of a lot of properties. They're buying at these properties, they're holding on to them, they're taking them off their sites, they're not distributing physical media so they can hold the IPs for whatever reason. And that is my big gripe as to why we should topple the establishment right there, amongst the other things. Yes, climate wars, but God dang it, man. They keep taking all of these IPs and just like shelving them and getting rid of them. And then it's just like such a slap in the face to everybody who's ever worked in these shows. Hey, I was on one of the most popular Nickelodeon shows ever, Doug, but you can't find it anywhere because it's been pulled from streaming. You can't go to Best Buy or Walmart and buy the DVD. And so where am I supposed to watch it at? Like, it's crap. I
eBay?
hate it so much, man.
Season 1 of Supernatural.
I mean, I'm sure you can find it, but you got to pay astronomical prices like Dogma. Like, you couldn't find the physical copy unless you paid $400 for a DVD. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's stupid.
Well, do you remember the Disney Vault that they used to intentionally do that?
They used to put like all of it and then they re-release from the Disney Vault, the gold edition. It's stupid.
Yeah. I remember going to the movies, like a private video store, not Blockbuster, but like a private one, and they would have like the VHS Disney movies for like $80. And I didn't understand. I'm like, why are these so expensive? I didn't know the Disney Vault, but it was every Christmas we would get a Disney movie, whatever was just released from the Disney Vault. And when Kaylee was little, they always released a Disney movie in October. So I would buy those DVDs. Now I'm like, why do we have these for if Disney Plus goes out? We literally have
I'm going to rob.
Streaming.
We're not stealing the Declaration of Independence. I'm going to steal the Disney Vault because it's more. I would rather have that than the Declaration of Independence, Nicolas Cage.
Well, now we can't even watch DVDs on our laptops because they don't have CD-ROMs anymore.
Yeah, my laptop right here, I have to have an external thing to even plug in like an HDMI cord. There's no disc. There's nothing.
No. Well, because back in the day when we had hurricanes, we would charge the laptops in the car and then watch DVDs on the laptops.
Oh, do you remember
when we had DVD no power? Kaylee had one of those. I don't know where. I'm sure I got rid of it.
I had one too. You would strap it to the back of the seat or something. It was like, it was basically a laptop, but literally a DVD player.
Yeah, it was like a laptop. But then every time we like hit a bump, it would like skip, like the Discman. All right, we're going.
When we were in DC, remember there was a freaking iPad in the museum or iPod in the Museum of Natural American History already? Oh.
Yeah.
All right, you're right. We got crazy there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Almost lost my.
What's going on with Sony and Kraven the Hunter? Oh my gosh, the CEO.
Oh man.
Tony Vincent Cara says that Kraven the Hunter is the worst launch they'd had for a film since he became CEO in 2017. Quote, I still don't understand because the film is not bad. End quote. I haven't seen it.
I haven't either. I'm not brave enough to see that, but I've heard it's worse than Madam Web. How do you get worse than CPR?
Well, look, I didn't think the trailer looked good. The trailer looked like it was somebody who had never made an action movie trailer before and literally hit all the cliche points for an action movie trailer. So yeah, it's like going back and watching an action movie trailer from the 90s and you're like, oh my God, this is so cheesy. But I love that actor and that would have been cool.
Yeah, allegedly they've given up on doing, Spider-Man movies now, I guess, for the time being. Like they're talking, there's rumors, right? Rumors. We can all believe rumors for what that is, that they're going to possibly be giving the rights, selling the rights back to Marvel, but who knows? I don't know. Anyways, Wicked, if you're a big fan of the musical and you've seen the press tour and everything, Wicked releases on digital December 31st. So end 2024 with Wicked. I know my daughter is going to be watching that nonstop. She is such a fan of the movie. I have not seen it. I like the book. I haven't read the book, I'll be honest. I like the property, okay? My mom's favorite movie is The Wizard of Oz. My daughter loves Wicked. I need to read the book, but I've always wanted to see the play. And so I know it's something that's going to be playing in my house 24/7.
So good. It's like one of the best musicals out there. And I think. That's my personal opinion.
I do want to see it. I very much do. And then our last piece of news is that Chris Columbus has finally confirmed what we've all been wondering, that Kevin McAllister's mom was a fashion designer. However, he does not remember what the dad's job was because he talked about how they talked about it on set when they were coming with backgrounds for their characters for Home Alone. They talked about it. Catherine O'Hara's character was a fashion designer. We all kind of assumed that because of all the mannequins in the basement. And he said that there were no mob activities or something like that. It was kind of funny how he worded it.
But do you know why he clarified that?
Because everybody they thought he was working for the mob, right? Like financial.
He was in
He said he was
Sopranos.
Oh, he was?
Yes, he was in Sopranos, so that became it's like everybody's like, "Oh, that's" like, when he showed up in Sopranos years ago, everyone's like, "That's
Mr.
where he got all the
McAllister?
money." Yeah. So
Okay,
that was
that
how
makes sense.
I believe that's when that started.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. He says maybe it was advertising. That would make sense. But also, like, that house probably cost $100,000 in 1990, so they
Right.
weren't hurting anyways. But okay, that makes a lot of sense now. But it's nice to have some sort of like clarity, I guess. Yeah, she was a fashion designer, which on her own probably made a lot of money. But then on top of his dad's job, they all got well taken care of in Miami that had no Christmas trees in Florida. But going from there, let's go into now our end of 2024. We're going to go into our top fives: movies, TV shows, and comic books. So stay tuned for a couple of random ads from Spreaker, our overlords, because we don't choose the ads. We could. If you want to sponsor our show, let us know. We'll be back in a second. All right, dudes, let's do this. We are going to alternate. I don't have my movies in a particular order. Did you put your movies in a particular order? I need to. I think I'm going to do it as we talk.
Especially because like Deadpool and Wolverine is obviously going to be my number one. Spoilers.
It's hard.
Outside of Deadpool and Wolverine, that's my only number one. The rest are just
okay. So we both have Deadpool and Wolverine. This is a top 5 of the year.
Better. This is top
Deadpool and Wolverine is clear. Let's just elephant the room, even though some people don't want to go.
Best movie of the century.
An elephant. Century. I don't know if I go that far because The Dark Knight exists, but
I would.
Deadpool and Wolverine is there. Lauren and I saw it in London in theaters this year, and then I saw it again, and we've watched it a bunch of times. It's a very, very, really good movie. Clearly, it's top 5, but also, I don't think either one of us saw as many movies as we normally have this year.
I didn't.
Normally, I live at the theater. This year, it's been a little harder, and so I've seen a lot of movies. But I will preface this by saying like Venom, Craven, not that either of those are going to make my top 5. Nosferatu, which is out, haven't had a chance to see that. Haven't seen Wicked. There's a few movies that I haven't seen yet, but I have seen all of the big blockbuster films. I will say that the ones that are in contention.
I saw Deadpool and Wolverine in the theater more than once, but I don't go to the movies all that much. And I feel like I went a lot this year. And I also feel like there were movies I was excited for, like sequels that I enjoyed, but they didn't hit the mark, like Beetlejuice or Moana.
Yeah, see, I enjoyed that, but Beetlejuice wasn't, it's not in my top 10. I mean, I haven't seen Moana 2 yet, but that probably wouldn't crack my top 10 either. But there are a few that I want to see, like Heretic. Who knows? I've heard very good things about that. There's a couple horror movies that honorable mentions, like Abigail. I really enjoyed that horror movie. It's about the Catherine Newton and other people come together. They were going to kidnap this girl, and it turns out the girl is a vampire, so they're trapped in the house with the girl who's a vampire. Giancarlo Esposito's in the movie.
I heard about it. Yeah.
Very, very good. That's a top 10. And then I will also Godzilla versus Kong this year was a really good. That's a top 10 film for me. Top 5, no, but top 10, absolutely. And then we also didn't have any superhero movies aside from Deadpool and Wolverine, which are typically going to hit your top 10s. So,
that's true.
Deadpool and Wolverine. I will give you another one, though, that was really big that released early in the year that I think is forgotten about, especially come Oscar time right now, is Dune 2. I really loved that one. I wasn't a big fan of Dune 1, but Dune 2 blew me away.
Yeah, I have Dune 2 on here, but like I watched, I read the book and then watched 1 and 2 like all very close together this year. So
yeah, you became a big fan too.
I know. And Dune, I did watch Dune Prophecies. Oh, I watched that this week. I finished Dune Prophecies. That was a lot of fun. So if you felt like Dune was too slow, like the first one is kind of slow. They really don't give you a backstory on the Bene Gesserit or like anything. Like, so if I hadn't read the book, I feel like I would have been confused as to who they were, what was happening. So if you felt a similar situation, go check out Dune Prophecies on HBO Max, because it is like the origin story of them. They don't call them the Bene Gesserit. They refer to them as the Sisterhood. And I'm starting to think it's a rebrand thing, because they are the like monster that lurks in the shadow at night kind of thing. But there was a lot of fun revelations in that, and obviously this is not obviously. This is thousands of years before Dune, and it's still the Harkonnens and the Atreides are going at it, and like all this stuff is happening and trying to prevent the prophecy that happens in Dune. So it's worth checking out. And Dune 2 is on my list.
All right. See, Dune 2, yeah,
We're 2 for 2.
I loved it. We are 2 for 2. We have the same. So like obviously guys, we're not always going to sync up. Especially our taste in movies are vastly different. I willingly watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Lauren will never touch out with a 10-foot pole. All right, so this is where things kind of get interesting. So why don't you give me another one that's on your list?
Civil War is one on my list.
Ooh, that's a top 10 movie for me.
Terrifying, but I did really enjoy it. I blew my mind when I realized it was the same actor that played Pablo Escobar, because that guy's really good. It was a scary, unique take on where the country could go. And you can see how easily it could go there.
It's more about like journalism too, like the losing yourself in like journalism, modern day journalism. If we looked at it over the election, right? Like, okay, what are people doing with the election and things like that? So it is really crazy that this movie, like Kirsten Dunst was really good. Oh, there is one I totally forgot about. The girl who, I forget her name off the top of my head because I'm just awful with names. She was also an alien Romulus. She was in this movie. And Nick Offerman was the president. Yeah, this movie was really good. It's a top 10 movie for me, as is Alien Romulus. I'll say that right now. So those two are top 10s, not top 5. I probably have more than 10 movies that I just said were top 10 films, but my bad.
We're only talking top 5, but honorable mentions are allowed.
Honorable mentions to those. Yeah.
So we would be here all day if we did top 10.
Yes.
So yeah, I really liked that one.
We'll throw out one. I got Furiosa, man. With Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth. It's the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. I didn't really care about Mad Max Fury Road. I'm not a huge Mad Max fan. Everybody loved it. Great visuals. Don't get me wrong. Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron.
They mention it in Deadpool and Wolverine.
They do. However, Furiosa was really good. I was really blown away. I watched it because Carrie wanted to watch it. I was kind of meh, sure, why not? Let's do it. Really, really well done. Again, this movie, a lot of practical. Chris Hemsworth is just hamming it up. Anya Taylor-Joy is an absolute badass in this movie. So this one makes it for me, like the visuals, the soundtrack, it added some context to things, kind of seeing where her character comes from to where they're at and why she is who she is in Mad Max. So I like this movie a lot. It's definitely a top 5 for me.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of those movies. I'll have to do that one day. Another one I have is, again, I have not seen many new movies this year, and I'm curious to hear other people's top 5 because maybe I need some recommendations to watch this next year. I just watched, I guess, so much TV. So I put Mean Girls the musical because I very much so enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun nod, obviously, to the original. They really didn't change much, but they added music. I like that they kept some of the original characters, and I thought it was a unique take. I feel like this movie is not that old because I distinctly remember it came out, but it's 20 years old. But we were at the beginning of social media then, that it was so new that most people didn't have it in 2004. Like, I feel like I got on MySpace probably 2005.
I think I had MySpace by then. You were just late to the party. That's all.
So, because at first, I was also in law school, I think, when I got on.
Oh my God, old woman.
So, but remember at first, like Facebook, you had to have a school email to get on Facebook.
Well, just because it was originally used to like hit on girls and rate girls. Yeah.
So I thought they did a unique take on like, okay, this is Mean Girls in the day of social media. And so I thought that was a fun little spin, and, Tina Fey is hilarious. And
I did watch that. It didn't crack my top 10. Like, I guess it would have worked better for me if it was not a rehash of the original movie. I guess was my, like, hey, it wasn't bad, but it really was just like a rehashing of the original film, which is cool. But I just wanted something else, I guess. I don't really know.
Because it was a musical version. It wasn't, I wouldn't even call it a remake.
Yeah,
I
guess
it was a musical version nod to the original.
And it was.
They even had Lindsay Lohan was in it, and Tina Fey played the same character. Tim Meadows was in it.
couple of good jokes and things like that were in it, which were decent. You know, Tim Meadows, yeah, Tina Fey again was in it. You're right, and it wasn't a terrible film, but didn't crack my top 5. So I respect that because
I
Mean
don't watch
Girls,
enough.
that's fair. Also fair. I'm gonna give you Twisters. That movie
Didn't see that
I
yet.
loved. Oh my god, Twisters is all right. You know me, I got low bars sometimes. I thought it was a really good sequel. I'm gonna call it a sequel because they mention Dorothy. They don't bring in any of the original cast, which I thought was a mistake. Granted, a couple of members have passed away, but like Helen Hunt's still out there. You know, you could have brought them in, any of the other original characters. But it was, I thought, you know, Glenn Powell, amazing. They modernized it with like the YouTube stuff and how he's just a storm chaser in the YouTube era. And the scientific aspects are always going to be crazy. I thought the tornadoes, even though they're CGI, the original Twister movie, the CGI tornadoes are a little bit better than what we see in this movie. But
That's
overall,
interesting.
yeah, for some reason, they almost look too CGI in this movie, whereas clearly the original Twister film, CGI, but they didn't look as CGI as the ones in this one. But it's a movie again. It's fun. Just shut your brain off, turn off, and I love a good disaster film, and that gave us a good disaster film.
I sometimes like even when people are fighting, I'm like, oh my god, they just broke that. I'm like watching Creature Commandos, and they're like destroying Rick Flag's house, and I'm like, oh, this is
Oh
just
yeah,
destroying. And like I like feel that, and I'm like, this is a fucking cartoon. Literally nothing is getting destroyed, but that's still in my head. So maybe that's just too materialistic viewpoint. But yeah, I do need to watch that. That's on my list to watch.
What's your last one in the top 5 to round this out?
I put Red One. I recently watched
Oh,
it.
really? Okay. It wasn't a bad movie. I'm going to be honest. I am very
know.
surprised. I went in with no expectations and I was very, very surprised.
Well, when I saw the trailer, heard about it, I was very excited. I thought the trailer looked awesome, and then it came out, and people were mixed review shitting on it.
Because it's The
And so
Rock. Everyone was like, "Oh, here we go again."
I usually feel like The Rock plays a very distinct character, and I don't think
The
that he
same
played that
character.
character in this. I feel like he was more like he's usually
He
a little
definitely
goofy.
wasn't typical like Dwayne Johnson. That's the
Yeah, he
same
wasn't Maui
character
in
that we've
this.
always seen. No, he was like a bodyguard, but he wasn't over the top like he normally is. I get where you're going with this one. I agree with you.
I know some people were saying, like, I don't know who this movie's for, if it's for I would think it was, like, PG-13. I mean, I feel like it's
I
for,
feel
like,
like it's
preteen and up. But I mean,
yeah,
like,
it's not
I
for
don't
your
think
6-year-old, but I don't think it was like inappropriate by any means.
no, it wasn't like Violent Night. I guess people need, like, a clear
Yeah.
definition if something's for a kid or not, but, like, I thought it was a great mix of, like, Christmas spirit and action movie, and Chris Evans is funny. You know, he doesn't
Chris
play
Evans was
Captain
awesome in
America,
this, and he was
he leans
very
more
like
towards
this.
Torch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, that storyline with him, with the kid and everything, I thought was great, with his own son, and I loved the ending, how Rock then had come full circle and Santa's like, "Oh, you see what I see now?" And he's like, "Yeah, I thought they did
Yeah.
that." I thought that was so cute. And it
Agreed.
had Krampus, man, and then it had the
And
other
it had
person as well.
Gila,
Yeah,
however you say her name, the witch. Yeah, which
right.
Kirsten Sherpka played,
The
I
little
thought,
girl
really
from Mad
well.
Men. Yeah,
Well,
I
that
thought
and
it was a lot of
Sabrina,
fun.
yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth checking out. It's on Prime. I did not get to go see it in the theater.
I
I was
didn't see it in
planning
theaters
to, and it
either.
just ran out of time, and the next thing I know, it's on Prime. So I thought it was great. I could definitely, it's hard to call a movie like this is a movie I'll watch every year. I don't think there's any movie I
I
watch
don't
every year except for Family Stone, but
I'm trying to think. That's interesting because there's definitely movies that I'll rewatch. The classics. I mean, I rewatch the classics as far as like holiday movies,
they'll
but
be on, like, there's not a year that goes by where Elf isn't on, or Nightmare Before Christmas gets played constantly in our house, but I don't sit and watch it. Like, there's like
interesting.
Family Stone is the only movie that I literally sit down and
Really?
watch every year.
See,
But,
that's interesting to me because like I sit down and I will watch all except for this year. I honestly didn't sit down and fully watch Christmas Vacation, which I normally do. But
we
Jingle
had
All
that
the
on the
Way,
other day, but we didn't sit down and watch it, yeah.
man, where's your Christmas spirit? Where's your Halloween spirit?
It's just
Where
like
is
too
your
much
spirit?
going on. And then, like, when you have kids of such varying ages, nobody wants to watch the same thing ever. And that's why I end up watching Family Stone every year because I used to watch it by myself. And then
I don't think I've
Keelan
ever seen
started
that
watching
one.
with me, and now Brielle's watching it with me. I love
Hmm.
that movie. It's like it's a dark comedy. I've told you about it, right?
You have. No, you
I'm sure I've
have.
told you about it every Christmas.
Yeah, I just don't think I've ever actually watched it, but all
The
right.
cast
Well,
is fantastic. It's very emotional, but that didn't come out in 2024, so that's not why we're here.
true. That's
So
true.
what's your last one? That's my last one. I'm out.
My last one, Sonic 3, man. I was blown away by how fun and funny this movie is. It is just, I went in, like, the Sonic movies I've always enjoyed, but they weren't like my favorite films. However, they're really, really good. And Sonic 3 blew me away. I thought, as far as comedies go, this was probably the standout for comedies. It was probably the standout for kids' movies of all ages, like where you can take your whole family to the theaters. You know, my whole family, we went there. We don't go to the movies together all the time, very often. And so we did that. Everybody had something they loved about it. You know, Carrie, Harper, Oliver, myself, we all loved something different and took something different from it. And I think that's the mark of a really good movie, where you're all constantly laughing. We kind of quoted about, I've got the popcorn bucket right there behind me because I had to get the Sonic. And so they did a lot of good stuff in this movie. The CGI fights were awesome. The characters were awesome. The comedic moments, the pop culture references, the call outs to the actual Sega game. I almost said Nintendo. The Sega game was really cool. The way they incorporated like video game stuff into it.
He's the Mario for Sega.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Like kids today don't realize that.
They don't. And the way that they incorporated like the rings and the Sonic stuff and the racing and all of that into it, man, it's just so good. And so that's why that movie rounds out my top 5 for sure. And
you need to get a screwdriver and put pictures of Sonic on it, and then you can call it a Sonic screwdriver.
If I was a doctor, I definitely would do that. I would easily do that. Stupid puns. Now I'm going to give you, though, before we roll out, I'm going to give you my top 5 Hallmark 2024 movies as Lauren mutes me and goes to do her taxes. I'm going to give you my top 5 in no particular order, because you know me, I love Hallmark Christmas movies. And so the 2024 season has wrapped up. I loved, no particular order. Let's start with Hanukkah on the Rocks. Hallmark puts out one Hanukkah film a year. I think they should do more because their Hanukkah films are top tier. She gets fired from being a lawyer. She stumbles into that she's trying to buy like the candles. I'm sorry, I don't know what they're called. She tries to buy the candles for her grandma. This guy takes the last set. She follows him into this bar. The old host for Double Dare is in the bar, and it's his grandfather or something like that. And
sorry, Mark Summers?
Yes. He's in this movie. And she just spouts off like a cool drink. She makes like Jewish themed drinks. And so she becomes a bartender there. She hasn't told her parents that she doesn't want to be a lawyer anymore. And they throw like this really cool, they turn the bar into Hanukkah on the Rocks, where they throw this really cool Hanukkah party. And their Hanukkah movies are really awesome.
Should you just get more candles at Publix?
You know, in all of New York City, these were the last candles that I don't believe it, but New York City. New York City. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not New York City. It's Chicago. My bad. It was Chicago. I made that mistake again. It was Chicago. All these
candles at like Target too.
But still, the last never mind. From there, we have Jingle Bell Run. It has our girl Victoria from How I Met Your Mother in it. I love her. I love the Hallmark movie she's in. This is basically The Amazing Race, but for Hallmark. It's Christmas themed. She gets paired with a retired hockey player who wants to go and advance his broadcast career. They're traveling all around, finding Christmas things. What more do you need? It's fun. It's adventurous. It's got heart. It's got humor. From there, this one's actually a Netflix movie. It's Our Little Secret, starring our girl, Lindsay Lohan. I've talked about it on the show before. Really solid film, really comedic, caught me by surprise. The two high school sweethearts break up, don't see each other for 10 years. They inadvertently are dating siblings from the same family. They're at the same house over Christmas, and things ensue from there. Highly recommend that. Now, the last two are Hallmark movies. We have Christmas Crashers. I don't remember their names, but one girl's from Victorious from Nickelodeon, and the other girl, I don't remember her name either, but they basically go and they start to, she panicked. She didn't pass the bar. Her dad owns his own law firm. He's very cheesy with it. The other girl, who's her friend who talks her into crashing Christmas parties, it's basically Wedding Crashers. They crash Christmas parties. They end up finding and talking to this guy who owns a company. She gives some legal consultation about this company that her dad was investigating to sue and things like that, and he's looking to acquire them. She gives like a, hey, just so you know, XYZ. So she doesn't tell him that she's not actually a lawyer. They go on a retreat. Stuff from there ensues. Very good movie. A lot of fun. Again,
There's 2
it's very
Hallmark movies
unique.
about lawyers?
Yeah,
Why?
you know. And then this last one, we have 'Twas the Date Before Christmas, man. This is my last one. 'Twas the Date Before Christmas was my favorite one. She
your favorite
had
one.
a fiance who passed. And so to go to her family's Christmas for that holiday, they always do like Christmas Olympics. Well, she goes online dating and this guy matches with her and she's like, hey, you want to go do a blind date at my family's Christmas party and just not tell them it's a blind date and do all this? He's like, yeah, sure. Sounds like fun. He is the CEO of a big company that's going to buy out her sister-in-law's candle company. I've talked about it on the show, but it's so much fun. It, like, Hallmark this year really stepped it up with unique storylines, man. Unique storylines. Okay. It was awesome. And that's what I got
that makes them
on our
not
Christmas
Hallmark
movies. But they changed things up. Like, you know, they did some cool stuff this year. I liked it. They weren't all goes to Christmas Tree Farm and all of that crazy stuff. Okay. It was awesome.
Gotcha.
Now let's go to our TV shows.
Good idea.
What do you want to start with? What do you got?
I'm going to start with X-Men 97.
Oh, yeah. X-Men 97. That's a good one.
So I didn't really know what to
That's an honorable mention for me.
Expect this to be so good because, yeah, I do have some honorable mentions because there was a lot of good TV this year. But, I just watched like pretty much all of X-Men 92. There were some episodes I did skip over because I was trying to get through all of it before we did our interview with, Eric and Julia Lewald. But it was so good and I didn't expect to get so sucked into it. So, I think ratings have a big thing to do with expectations. So I expected this to be more so a fun little cartoon, like, maybe not as cheesy as the 92 one. And obviously they do have some cheese, but they felt like they did a great job of combining the cheese to where you felt like it was still the same show, but bringing it into a new time period and having it be a show for the same audience in the 90s to this, because it really wasn't a children's show, because some of these things like with Gambit and everything were just like so dark and so serious and so heartbreaking. And obviously we talked a lot about this throughout the year, but it's just like I don't feel you and everybody comparing it to Wanda. And it's like, but Wanda got to feel Vision.
Yeah,
Rogue never got to feel Gambit.
Yeah.
And so it was just, yeah. No, so that was really good. And obviously we're going to get more of that at some point, but yeah.
We are. That's a top 10 show for me. Honorable mention. I'm going to go with Apple TV's January release. Yeah. If we can think back to January. Actually, 3 of my top 5 are Apple TVs. Don't sleep on Apple. I have Masters of the Air, which is, well, it's, the Pacific Band of Brothers. This is their air version of it. Tom Hanks, producer. It's got, what's his name? Austin Butler. He's in this one, and it's not a retelling. It's based on a true story where it's the bombings over Germany and things like that. It's about the air war in World War II and just how many pilots and airplanes and things that we were losing during, like, squadrons. 24 B-17s would fly out to go bomb because America wanted to bomb during the day, and they would just, maybe one would come back. If you're lucky, one would come back. Like, we would be losing thousands of people every air raid. The British and them would bomb at night where they couldn't be seen. America was like, no, we're bombing during the day. It left our B-17s that are very clunky, susceptible to the Luftwaffe. And so at that point, like, we didn't have the type of P-51 Mustangs that could fly and support our bombers. So we didn't have air support. Our bombers were just up there getting torn apart. It's a very, very good show, but I'm also a history nerd. So that one is on there for me. And then my next one, I'm going to say it's a Marvel show. Agatha, man. Agatha came out this year. It was really good.
On my list too. Yes. Absolutely. It was
look at
fantastic.
us. We got one TV show in common. This is the only TV show I think we have in common, actually.
I'm stupid.
Penguin? No, I forgot about, Penguin's getting swapped out. I have 2 Apple TV shows.
Didn't put Penguin.
I put Manhunt, which is the Abraham Lincoln show, but I, for some reason, completely blanked on Penguin. So I'm taking Manhunt. It's a top 10 show, honorable mention. Agatha and Penguin for both of us. What more do we need to say about those two?
I know we've said everything there is to say.
We did shows on them. Yeah, we did. If you want to go back and find those, like Penguin, you didn't know it was a DC show. You didn't know it was a legit, whatever show. It was so good. Colin Farrell just disappeared in that role, and that ending was so like, oh my God, what? And then the way Agatha was fun, and also like a holy crap, what, in a whole different light.
Right, and releasing it at Halloween just made it even more fun. And they did such a fun twist on, like, the witches, like, the
Yeah.
scene, Glenda, and you had Elphaba, and you had, Maleficent. Like, they had all these, like, cliche witches, and I thought that was really fun too, and just seeing the different, centuries and Agatha growing. That was such a fun thing to get a backstory on, and I love that she's nailing this. And we're seeing Agatha in What If. Like, I don't know if you've been watching What If, but there was an episode of What If with Agatha and Kingo, and I thought it was fun. Yeah, they're doing a good job bringing people in. They're bringing in all sorts of characters to What If. They're characters that we've been like, hey, where have these characters been? And they're bringing them into What If. What they'll do with them in the MCU, I don't know. But even Simu Liu is in the first episode.
Oh, so wow. See, that's really cool. Oh, we can get them in What If, but we can't get them in the effing MCU.
Well, I wonder if this is okay, here they are. We haven't forgot about them.
Shut up, nerds. There they are.
Yes. And a lot of them are the actual voices. I always watch it because they're always like, skip intro. Fuck no, don't skip intro. I want to see who's in this. So I'm looking at all the names. I'm like, okay, good. It's that person, that person. Sebastian Stan's voice acting, I do think, has gotten better.
It doesn't good. I know that was a What If that was kind of like his voice acting is kind of crappy.
Right. He should stick to face acting. He does not have a voice for voice acting or a face for voice acting. Wait, what were we talking about? We were not talking about What If. Agatha. Yes. Agatha's fantastic. Yeah, there's nothing more I can say that we haven't beaten into anybody. And yeah, Penguin, you can introduce Penguin to somebody who does not like comic book movies and say they just like mob stories, and they'll love Penguin. Josh loved Penguin. This might be the only is this the only comic book show he's ever watched? It
really
might be. He watches comic book movies all the time.
But the shows, that's a different type of.
He's never watched a single MCU comic book show. This might be, he doesn't watch any of the Arrowverse. Yeah, I think this is the only comic book, so that should say something. Josh does not watch comic book TV shows.
That says a lot then.
I think this would be on his top 5. All right, so Agatha and Penguin, what else you got?
Well, I guess I have Only Murders in the Building. That season was out this year. Oh my God.
I enjoyed it. It didn't make top 5 though, because I feel like they're just repeating things.
They are, but I feel like they get the writing is still clever and the writing still works for me. So that's why. And then, dude, I can't get enough of Martin Short and Steve Martin together. I just cannot.
I do love that.
Gomez, sure, but I cannot get enough of Martin Short and Steve Martin together because those two together are gold through and through.
It would be a top 10 for me. It wouldn't be a top 5.
All right, so what do you got here?
The Ones Who Live, the Rick and Michonne show.
What is that? Oh, that makes sense. That's why I didn't. You know me, yeah.
So good. Yes, the Rick and Michonne show is absolutely fantastic. It was so emotional. That was one of those shows that, if a clip came up, I would watch the clip again. That good, really. Yes, absolutely. I would say that was my number 2. I'm sure you'll know what my number 1 is, especially once I say it. But
I forgot that your number 1 came out this year. I'm going to be honest, but it wasn't a top 5. It wasn't top 5. It was top 10.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you knew that was going to be in my top 5, especially with a fucking cliffhanger ending like that. So what was I?
Honorable mentions. What do you have for some
honorable mentions? But The Ones Who Live, real quick, it's very emotional. It's Rick and Michonne were my favorite couple in the show, and they're not together in the comics at all. Rick is with Carol at one point, and Michonne is with Ezekiel at one point, which is funny because Carol and Ezekiel dated in the show. But they are just so good together. And the fact that Rick didn't know he had a kid, and so you obviously have all that revelation and whatnot, and it was just so sweet and so good. And it was great action. It was great physical trauma, just seeing Rick just in pieces after fighting for so long, and Michonne having to help him put those pieces together, and her getting so frustrated with him too. It was just they just did such a fantastic job. And I love the scenes with them just kicking ass together because they are just both so badass and so attractive.
They're the 2 best characters from Walking Dead anyways, so.
Yes, but when you have 2 gorgeous characters that kick ass together, and then you and then they have sex together. It's just
we should make them the next Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Damn it!
Ooh, that could be fun.
Because I know they're doing another Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but they have a new cast for it.
Didn't they just do one?
Well, they did with Donald Glover and somebody else, but now they have a new cast coming out for.
Oh, I only saw the Angelina.
I haven't watched it. I just
would love just more Rick and Michonne. If we get them in the future, I don't know, that would be awesome. So Jeffrey Dean Morgan mentioned, I think he mentioned this at the Supernatural Con, because, you know, somebody asked him, like, would you ever want to meet with everybody again? Because like his Maggie show is continuing on. Daryl Dixon is an honorable mention. I have genuinely very much so loved that show. Season 2 was much better than the first season. So I'm really liking where that's going. Again, honorable mention. So he said, like, yeah, we would all love to work together again. But if you bring in Daryl and you bring in Rick and Michonne, you bring in Maggie and I, and we're all back together, it's just The Walking Dead.
I mean, yeah, it pretty much is.
So, yeah. My last one, I'll wait until you do your fourth.
All right. My fourth. Well, no, I did my fourth. I'm on my last one. Because remember, Agatha, I have Penguin, Only Murders Agatha, Masters of the Air. My honorable mentions I've talked about, but The Boys season 4 would be an honorable mention for me. I would be a top 10, not number 1, because my number 1 show is Shrinking, man. Without a doubt. It is Shrinking. Season 2 is my number 1 series for 2024. Jason Segel's character goes through some stuff. We get Brett Goldstein. We even have a surprise character. How I Met Your Mother fans are going to have fun with this one. You haven't seen the whole season. Oh God.
I haven't seen any of it. So
it just finished. It just ended. Okay, so you can go and watch it all now. It is I guarantee you'll come back and be like, yeah, that was probably should have been in my top 5.
Well, no, I'm waiting for Josh. I literally bought
Damn it, Josh!
last night, put on episode 1 for him, and he was asleep in 5 minutes.
Oh,
so that's what I'm waiting.
You know what? What do you expect from us? You probably put it on too late. We're old. Okay?
Oh, it was like midnight or something.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't finish it, or at least get through the first 3 episodes of the next week, I'm just going to watch season 2. So I do have Apple TV right now. But then I got sucked in and kept watching it.
Harrison Ford is amazing. The way this season ends. Oh my God. I was on the edge of my couch. I was about to cry. I'm not spoiling. All I'm going to say is I was texting Sean from Metalcore Nerds because we both had gotten to see it early. I did my review for nerdinitiative.com. And I was like, Sean, you didn't warn me, you piece of trash. And oh my, it's going to bring out full ranges of emotion the whole season. I really need you to watch this season. So
I'm 100% going to.
Yes. That's my top 5. What do you have to round out? We already know.
You put the Christ back in Christmas. The Boys season 4, of course. I loved it. I love a good Christmas arc. It just continued to be fantastic. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character was great. I just seeing Ryan kind of come into his own. Will he, won't he? Is he going to go dark side? Is he going to go light side? It's, he has all this power. What is he going to do with this power? Homelander in this season was, Anthony Stark just keeps surprising, like with his acting. Man,
season 5 is going to be insane.
The crazy laughter when he went back and we, learned about his childhood, which I think that it, like, they created a monster. They so created a monster. And there was actually an episode in What If where Nick Fury says something along the lines of, like, sometimes things are safest with their family. And because then you're nurtured, people you love. And I'm like, Homelander would have benefited from a loving family. And you guys literally gave him the opposite of that because you were scared of him. So just seeing the monster they created and him going back and like reacting to that was just, I'll never look at a fudgy whale cake again. And then, I'm trying not to overly spoil if anybody hasn't gotten around to watching it. I cannot wait to rewatch it before season 5.
Yeah.
But that very last scene, I was praying to Chuck through. Oh, when we got Naked Chuck, that was a lot of Naked Chuck. I was praying to Chuck that we would, have this person come back. And it was beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
That's true.
The Boys season
That's
4.
Fair. Breaking news real quick. Breaking news. The Batman #2 has been delayed another year to 2027.
Oh my gosh.
I am in hell. It's 6 years between movies. Are you kidding me?
After the Penguin did so well, they're going to delay.
It was supposed to get the sequel this past October.
Why is it getting delayed again?
I don't know. I just got the notification.
What in the hell?
I am in hell. October 1st.
I didn't even love that movie, and that's bullshit.
I am in absolute hell. All right. Okay. Finish what you're going to say. Let's go into comics and we'll wrap this baby up.
I already said my nod to Daryl Dixon. Sweet Tooth. I liked how they wrapped up Sweet Tooth.
I didn't like that series.
The series I thought was up and down. I liked how they ended it. So I love an ending like that. And I haven't watched Curb, but I wanted to give an honorable mention to Curb because Curb and Shrinking are two I need to finish. Josh started putting on old Curb to get ready for new Curb, and then we never watched new Curb. I think we just forget. There's so much out there we just forget. All right, that's all I got.
All right, that's fair. Shrinking. I cannot wait for you to finish it and talk about it. We'll do an episode maybe, but let's go into comic books. Man, a lot of good comic books came out this year. So again, no particular order, except for I do have a clear cut number one. So comic books. I'm going to start with Kill Your Darlings, which came from Image Comics. This started in 23. It finished in 24 of April of 2024. Griffin Sheridan, Ethan S. Parker, Bob Quinn. Basically, 8-year-old Rose loves nothing more than to play pretend in a magical land of her own. To her, that world is as real as our own, from her fluffy friends to the terrible evil that lurks at the center of it all in one night. And so that kind of gets blurred. There's a lot of magic and really, really intense art sequences. It's a beautiful story. That would probably be like my number 5. I've got a lot of, I can't even tell you how many honorable mentions I have because there's so many good comic books that came out in 2024. So making this list was harder than movies. It was harder than TV shows. That's in my top 5. So why don't you kick us off with yours?
I don't know if I can do them in order. So Something That's Killing the Children obviously did not start in 2024, but I started it in 2024 and it's still ongoing. So I'm going to throw that up in there just because that whole universe I really got sucked into. Now I'm reading the House of Butcher comics as well. That's Boom Studios. It's good horror. It's fun art. It's very creepy, but you.
Oh yeah, it's not a kid's book, kid.
But no, it is no. It's called Something That's Killing the Children.
Yes.
And when I first heard about it, I'm like, why would I want to watch something where the people are, the children are getting killed? But the thing's not just killing children, so there's other people.
It's like a supernatural story. I mean, it's not like they're not just killing kids. It's not a serial killer killing kids. It's monsters and childhood fantasies come to life that only kids can see. And there's more behind the scenes that are going on.
Yeah. So that was I guess you could say that was my number 5.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and roll into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from IDW Publishing. Jason Aaron's been on this run. It's 5 issues are out. Derek Robertson, who did The Boys, just did the artwork for issue number 5. It's basically an adult telling of the Ninja Turtles. It's kind of in the future where the first 4 issues are explaining where the Turtles went after they disbanded, what's going on, and how they're coming back together, with issue number 5 being the epilogue. It's got a lot of cool action. Each turtle did something different, but like they are who they are at their core at the very same time. Jason Aaron is absolutely crushing this series. And it's, I don't read a lot of Ninja Turtles, but the fact that this is in my top 5 says a lot about how this story is going.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I should probably check that one out because I think like when you read it, I mentioned the only one I've read is the one with Stranger Things, and that was for kids. 100% for kids.
Yeah.
So another one of mine is I got to throw a Wolverine one in there. My favorite Wolverine one this year was Weapon X-Men. It was only a 5-issue run, but what was kind of really fun about it was, so they're having to fight a certain villain. I don't want to say who the villain is. And Jean Grey goes to all these different multiverses to collect different Wolverines to fight said villain. And you get to see multiple different Wolverines. You get to see Wolverines with happy endings, Wolverines with tragic endings, overweight Wolverine, apocalypse Wolverine, zombie Wolverine, all these different Wolverines. And like a few of them were actually showed up in Deadpool and Wolverine the movie. And so it was a lot of fun to see all these different versions, to see like certain versions jealous of other versions, and to just, it's multiple Wolverines. So what's to complain about that? And like zombie Wolverine was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I was going to, eat everybody. But that was really good. That was my favorite Marvel comic this year. My favorite Wolverine.
Ooh,
all of that.
I don't have Marvel on here, surprisingly.
I don't have DC on here. If
That's
that makes you
fair.
feel better.
My next one is Kill All Immortals, which you guys know is a very big one. You know, Zach Kaplan, Dark Horse Comics, doing a lot of good things. Like, holy crap, it's Vikings that are immortal. And so what more do you need from that? It's very bloodshed, it's very adult, but the storyline is just really intense, and it's still ongoing. So like Freya, it's choosing between her family and her lover, and she has to make some hard choices. These Vikings, they cannot die, but it weaves a lot of history into it. The artwork is absolutely obscenely good, and so that one is another one that I've got in there without a doubt.
My next one is going to be Barfly, because Barfly was so cute. I got 2 from the Minor Threats world, that's Dark Horse Comics. Barfly is of only 4 issues, and it's a great one, I feel like, for our podcast, because it's this cute little fly man who's a barfly and likes Shrinking Bear, and he likes anarchy and has a heart of gold, and I've raved about it this whole year, every month that it came out. So Barfly for sure.
Barfly, I mean, the Minor Threats world is absolutely incredible. Like, that has
Yeah.
to be on there. Like, that's
And
more. I haven't read all of Minor Threats, so I couldn't put it on there. Otherwise, I guarantee you, it probably would have. Like, Patton, Jordan, like the whole team is crushing it.
Yeah, and you can read Barfly standalone. I have 2. I have another Minor Threats one in here as well. The other one is Minor Threats Fastest Way Down. So that was like the sequel to the original Minor Threats. These are all just 4 issues. But what I loved about Minor Threats Fastest Ways Down, it was very much so a mob story, with
Yeah.
Frankie becoming like, the kingpin of that, villain area. And I just thought it was so much fun because it was such a unique take on this character, and like just how when you have terrible villain parents, you're just destined to just fall into those traps of like not being able to be a good person, but balancing motherhood with being a villain can be very
Yeah.
challenging when you want to be a good parent, unlike Barfly's father, who is not a good parent. A lot of toxic
Yeah. Oh,
parenting in this
gosh.
show.
My last one. Oh, wow. Well, I'm sorry, not my last one, but Absolute Batman from Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta from the new DC All In series. This is a retelling on Batman's originality. He's not rich. His mom's still alive. However, we've seen a lot of weavings of, they've just finished the first arc. So I feel like, or they haven't finished the first arc. I apologize. There's 3 issues out. They've brought in a lot of very familiar names. They have brought in Alfred, and it's Batman and Alfred and Bruce and Alfred. This really, really interesting reimagining story of Bruce Wayne and Batman. It's so damn good. Scott Snyder is like Jesus to Batman and DC. I don't know how he does it, but this guy is absolutely incredible. He has made perhaps like the just insane Batman story. Absolute Batman is my number 2. I'll tell you right now, it's my number 2 story of the year.
I mean, it got everybody was raving about it when it came out. I still have only
It's
read
so
the first
good.
issue. I feel like I have to sneeze. Okay, you're done. I think I'm
I
good.
am done
Okay.
with that one.
My number 1 is Devour, and that is from Ghost Machine at Image Comics. I think that was probably the first comic that I reviewed and gave a 10 out of 10. I just thought it was so fantastic in villainizing the terrible diet culture that is our society and the generational trauma we pass down to our children, specifically our daughters. And they just did it in such a creepy, insightful, and beautiful way with a hell of an ending. And it was a one-off of the Hyde Street series, and it was so good. And it was long. So like if you grab that issue, like it's not just, one and done real quick. It was a decently long one shot.
Ooh.
So that
Okay.
one was perfection. And then I got to give a nod to Rocket Fellers. That would make the top, but
Yeah.
that's only 2 issues in, and it's been Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I think that
I was
probably
gonna
hit
throw
the
Hyde Street, but there's only a couple issues in, so I couldn't
Yeah,
fully
so
go
it's
Hyde Street
kinda
too. Yeah.
hard to do that, but yeah, I just wanted to do a nod, but that's why I gave it to Devour, because Devour was a
Wow, that's
standalone.
impressive.
I love that
Nice.
one. I thought just, oof, that ending, man.
I
It's intense.
have a special nod to Spectrograph from Distillery,
Oh,
which
I need to pick up the last
James
one.
Tynan and Christian Ward. However, the problem with that is they first released this like beginning of the summer, and there's only 3 issues. And I don't want to speak bad about Distillery because they're doing cool things, like Scott Snyder's working on White Boat, and Stephanie Phillips is over there doing a lot of really good stuff with Life and other comic books. My problem is like Distillery is bad at marketing, and so you never know when their comics are coming out. And then they also just are so spaced out. They're not like monthly firm releases. They're just spaced out, and they're good books. Distillery is a good company. So that's why Spectrograph couldn't make it into my top 5, because they just haven't done a really good job at Distillery. So I'm hoping they get better. They're on the right path. My number 1 though, come on, man. It's Redcoat. It's Ghost Machine's Redcoat. I'm such a history nerd. For some reason, I connect so much with Simon and his story. He's this immortal person. They're weaving Benjamin Franklin and the Revolutionary War. He's a British guy who ran away at the Battle of Trenton and inadvertently now has become immortal, and he's living with that, but he's a coward. He's like an anti-hero almost, but he does the right thing. And his adventure with Albert Einstein was just incredible. And then this latest issue, there's so much emotion that Jeff puts into the story, and Brian Hitch is drawing his ass off. Brad Anderson and Andrew Curry are just inking and coloring their asses off. Rob's doing such a great job. It's really the whole package. I love Redcoat so damn much. If I could get this in like some sort of TV show or something, I would be in heaven, because it is so, cool. So good. Not everything needs to be TV shows, but in my own personal world, like I want more of this. It is my favorite run of 2024.
No, it's been really good. And so is like Rook Exodus, and there's so many other comics we could give nods to, but we'll be
God, there really is. That's what's hard about making a top 5. It's really hard, and we have so many like nods and things that we've talked about, or things that we love. And Ultimate Wolverine's getting ready to come out in January. There might be an early 2025 comic of the year in the running for, so who knows?
It's exciting.
I'm excited. Do you have anything else before we wrap this up?
I'm sure I'll think of 5 more things I wanted to mention after we get off, but
I'm sure we all will, but
I think I'm good.
We're good for now. This is where we're going to put 2024 to bed. This is our last episode of 2024. Thank you guys for the year that it was. We had a lot of really great guests. Our patrons, thank you guys so much for supporting the show. We started the year doing MegaCon. We took a European vacation together. We went and did some fun stuff in Orlando from there, like Disney and Epcot. And now I'm getting ready to go back down here in a month to MegaCon again, where we had tried so hard to get panels and press, and now we finally have done it. 2025, I'm going to be at San Diego Comic-Con even. We've got GalaxyCon and AwesomeCon, MegaCon. There's so many Comic-Cons that we're going to be at or have stuff to do with. But yeah, we had a really, really good year. I feel like amazing adventures, and I can't wait to see what next year happens. So thanks everybody out there for supporting the show. Hops Geek News, any podcasting platform, any social media platform, do your thing. Come hang out with us. Patreon.com/hopsgeeknews is where you can support the show, hang out with us for movie nights and all of that good stuff. So until next time, we'll see you guys next year.